Hey, Ray here. I'm back at it again, but with a bit of a different video. Today I'm going to give you a quick introduction to the Yugi Kaiba format. The Yugi Kaiba format, sometimes simply called the 2002 format, is the very first TCG legal format that uses the very first ban list. This format only contains 3 sets. Well, sets. Starter Deck Yugi, Starter Deck Kaiba, and Legend of Blue Eyes. If a card was not printed in those 3 products, you can't play it. So this format, as you might imagine, has a very small card pool. There's not a lot to really choose from. So most of the decks share like about 15 cards, purely because there's just not that many good cards that have been printed yet. So you kind of have to blur the lines between some decks. Now, let's look at the ban list. The ban list here is very important for this format. Every Exodia piece is at 1, that doesn't really matter. Card Destruction's at 2. There are many reasons you might want to play this, I'll go into that later. And every deck in this format, as far as I know, plays the Power 5, which are the 5 most powerful limited spells in the format. Change of Heart, Dark Hole, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed, and Regeki. Don't think I should really need to explain why those are necessary to play in every deck. And then you have Swords of Reeling Light is the other card that is semi-limited. Not every deck plays it, but most decks do. Now let's get into the decks. There is a surprising amount of decks for such a simple format with so few cards, because people have just figured out what ways you can really build something that's even semi-viable. First, let's go for the one of the most popular decks in this format, which is Tribute Summon Control using Soul Exchange. Now, in case you don't know what Soul Exchange does, it lets you tribute one of your opponent's monsters instead of your own for a tribute summon. So you run the 2 most powerful tribute monsters in the format, Summon Skull, which is 1 tribute for 2500 attack, and Judge Man, which is 1 tribute for 2200 attack. Both of which are, well, extremely high power level, because the most powerful normal summon in this format that doesn't require a tribute is La Jin at 1800. Like with many decks in this format, you run Mind Eater Bug because it's one of the few ways you can remove monsters outside of exactly Fisher, Dark Hole, and Regeki, and Wall of Illusion because it is a great wall, and in a tribute deck, you need a lot of those. That's the same reason you run Giant Soldier of Stone. These decks are very simple, and I can explain them in a few seconds. Every card choice here is very self-explanatory. Last Will is here because you can use it to special summon like a second Wall of Illusion after you make a tribute summon, because Last Will does trigger off tribute summons, because a monster is sent from your side of the field to the grave. You run Triple Trap Hole because it's the best trap in the format. It's a way to get rid of opposing Lajins or Summon Skulls on summon. Ultimate Offering is great specifically in this tribute deck because you can use it to perform multiple tribute summons in a turn, or summon a monster and then summon another. Think of it as double summon. And Waboku is the only stall trap in this format, so every deck plays it pretty much. Again, you can see here there is very little difference between the 2 decks. The only difference between this and the last deck is you don't play Judge Man, and instead you play a 1700 attack normal summons. That is basically it, and you don't play Ultimate Offering. Instead you play Reinforcements to act as almost a temporary equipped spell and a battle trap. So when they beat over your Neo the Magic Swordsman, for example, with a Lajin, thinking they have the higher attack monster, you just flip up the Reinforcements. The next deck we have is Dragons. Dragons is one of the only like fancier decks out there that does something that's really different. You use Lord of D combined with Flute of Summoning Dragon to special summon out Blue Eyes White Dragon or Curse of Dragon. Now, it's important to note, since Trap Hole is the only real way to get rid of monsters on summon in this format, these are immune since it's a special summon. So you can't Trap Hole it. That's the one benefit, I suppose. But Dark Hole and Regeki are in this format, so you still have to play around that. The next deck we have is Fiend Equip. This is essentially a suboptimal version of the traditional beatdown deck, where you run Man-Eating Treasure Chest and Ryu Kishin Powered, which are both 1600 Dark Fiends, so you can equip them with Sword of Dark Destruction and Dark Energy, which up their attack significantly. Everything else is basically the same though. Finally, you have Stall Mill. This is a deck that aims to win by deck out. You use Card Destruction, and you set all of your spells and traps and set all of your monsters, so that when you activate Card Destruction, your opponent is forced to dump their hand. That's it. The idea is you end the game by making it so your opponent cannot draw any more cards, but you still can because you Card Destruction for like 1 card. And that's it. That's basically this format. There's a couple more decks, obviously, than what I mentioned here, but I think you'll get the general gist of it just looking at these decks and how similar they are. They all generally run Trap Hole, Waboku. This is a format where it's very, there's a lot more about the technical play than the deck building, I'd say. Because you can so accurately predict what your opponent's going to play, a lot of the play is just based around playing around what you know is in the format. And that is Yugi Kaiba format. I hope this video helped you guys, and have a good one.